everyone. In the previous lecture, we talked about introductions and conclusions, and in this lecture, we were going to be looking at the body of a speech. So, some objectives for you to be able to understand by the end of this lecture. You should be able to understand how to narrow and prepare your main points. You should know the different organizational patterns used for organizing main points, and you should understand transitions, signposts, and internal previews and summaries. So let's first of all look at what specific purpose is. It is the speaker's goal to either inform, persuade, and entertain the audience. So basically, it's just basically the purpose of your speech. Are you intending to inform? Are you intending to persuade? What are you intending to do? Once the purpose is stated, the speaker then informs the audience of the who, what, why, and how of the speech. So it's kind of like when you have the specific purpose, then you kind of develop your thesis and main points and all that. So what exactly are main points? Main points are the key ideas that allow the speech to accomplish the purpose. 2 to 3 main points are recommended. So basically, your main points are what supports your thesis. It's what supports your arguments. It's what your main points do. They're intended to support your argument, is what they're intended to do. And 2 or 3 main points are recommended. I would recommend no more than 3 main points, because if you have too many main points, then it's just going to cause your speech to get lengthy. It's going to cause you not to go into detail. So 3 main points are probably ideal for your speech. Now, in terms of narrowing your main points, brainstorm a list of points you want to talk about. So just brainstorm, what do you want to talk about in this speech? What are you looking to accomplish? What are you hoping to discuss with your audience? What do you want them to know? Or what do you want to persuade them on? Then, after you make a list, you should identify which points can be combined to make points. So, main points. So once you have a list, think of how they can all go together to form main points. You know, what I sometimes do, what I find is best, I kind of go down the list and see what is this trying to say, what theme is this trying to say. Then I make a list of themes, like they could be your main points, and then I put the list of the sub-points under each of those main points to formulate the main points and the sub-points of the speech. Sometimes that helps me. It might work for you. All right, in terms of preparing the main points, balance main points. And I know we discussed this too in the outlining lecture about making sure you have enough time to talk about each main point equally. Each of your main points should be spread out equally. If you have 2 sub-points in main point 1, you should have 2 sub-points in main point 2. So you should spend time on each of the points equally. Parallel structure your main points. Structure your main points so that they sound somewhat related. Make sure that they kind of sound like they're related to one another and they connect to one another. And not only should your main points connect to one another, but it should also connect to your thesis as well. Maintaining logical flow of the main points. Make sure your main points flow and make sense in the order that they're in. So if you discuss the problems by cell phones while driving, then the next main point should be your cause. So making sure that they flow, that they're organized, and that they go well together. They're discussed this point, they go to the next, they go to the next. That's how your main points should be prepared and organized. Uniting your main points. When you look over your main points, ask yourself if they fit together. Do they kind of go together? Do they connect together? Keep main points separate. Each main point should differ from each other and not overlap. So going back to what I was talking about in the outlining lecture, is that make sure that your main points, that there's one central idea in this, there's one central idea in another main point. Don't make sure that your main points aren't saying the same thing, they're saying separate things, but they're focusing on one single idea. All right, what are some organizational patterns that you can use for the body of your speech? Well, the first is chronological, so placing main ideas in the time order in which they appear. So maybe if you were discussing, like different time periods. You might discuss the 90s in your first main point. You might discuss 2000s in your next main point. You might discuss 2010 in your next main point. So that's what it means by chronological. Organizing it by dates. Biographical is used when describing the speaker and other person's life. So maybe in your first main point, you talk about their experiences. In the next main point, you talk about their family life. In the next main point, you talk about their career. So you kind of organize it according to topics that are associated with the person's life. Cause and effect and problem and solution. So for cause and effect, you are stating the cause, and then you go right to the fact. With problem and solution, you're doing stating the problem, you're stating what the cause of the problem is, and then you're giving a solution. Say about cause and effect, you're stating the cause, what is the effect, and then you're giving some solutions to the effect. Some other organizational patterns are categorical. So organizing your speech by topics or categories. This is the most common type of organizational pattern, organizing in topics and organizing into little categories, and that's mainly the most common. Compare and contrast also an organizational pattern. So maybe in main point 1 you have a compare. Main point 2 you have a contrast. And in main point 3 you have, well, maybe why compare is correct and not contrast or something like that. You might have, but making sure you don't have 2 compares and 2 contrasts, that you just have 1 and 1, and then you spread it out equally, and then you do something else with that. And then spatial is organizing information according to show how things fit together in space, how they fit together. Alright, let's lastly look at transitions and signposts. So transitions is a sentence that summarizes one main point and then previews what will be discussed in the next point. So you say, so now that we have discussed the problems of cell phones while driving, we will now focus on the causes of cell phones while driving. That is a transition. In your speech, it is very, very important you include transitions between each main points. Because if you don't, your speech is not going to be organized and it's not going to make sense. It's going to be hard to follow. I know I've seen a lot of my students not use transitions, and honestly, I have trouble following them. I have trouble following their speech. I can't focus. I can't follow along. So really make sure that you include those transitions. Internal preview. Sentence that gives the audience an idea of what's to come in a particular part of speech. So maybe like you say, like, in conclusion, we discuss this and this. So saying to your audience what's to come next, giving them a little bit of thumbs up on what she'll be discussing next, is what an internal preview is. An internal summary is reminds the audience of what they've just heard. So maybe like now we just focus on this, we're gonna focus on this. Could be an example of what you just heard. And then signposts helps the audience keep up with the speech or highlights important information that the speaker feels is important. So it kind of helps the audience. It helps the overall flow of the speech. It kind of helps them to be able to keep up and follow along with the speech, is what signposts are kind of about. Okay, well everyone, that concludes our lecture for today. Thank you so much for listening in, and I look forward to talking with you all soon. Take care.